However generously you look at it, the Kremlin seems to be in a mess with the war, with the special military operation, which of course started off as a 3-day special military operation and has dragged on to over a year. So however you spin it, or however Mr. Putin tries to spin it, it's a disaster. It's a disaster. It's gone on and on and on. And the people who seem to be benefiting from this are the thugs, people like Prigozhin, people like the mill bloggers, the military bloggers across Russia, people like Igor Girkin, not his real name, Igor Strelkov. All of these people going around with nom de plume. Vladin Tatarsky, the fellow who was blown up in Prigozhin's cafe the other day. His name is actually not his own. His name is taken from a novel by Victor Pelevin. And his real name is Maxim Fomin. Maxim Fomin was a miner arrested for a bank robbery who bizarrely was pardoned early into a 9-year sentence by the leader of the self-proclaimed Donetsk Republic, Alexander Zakharevchenko. And this man, Tatarsky, is the thug who went around the place saying, we'll triumph over everyone, we'll kill everyone, we'll loot all we want. It's not the language that Putin put out of saving Ukraine from the Nazis or the fascists, or that the patriarch Kirill put out of saving Ukraine from the LGBTQ, of saving Ukraine from NATO, Sergei Lavrov. This is simply blind thuggery. And you have to ask, is this the future of Russia? I hope not. I have fond memories of being in Russia, and I have fond memories of the intensely clever people there, not the thugs. Now, of course, you could say that all of this is an elaborate ruse. This is a false flag. This is a message sent by the FSB to Prigozhin in his own cafe. Well, it's no longer his own cafe, so that idea goes a bit wrong. This could be Russian groups fighting among each other as victory eludes them. This is, somebody said it's the internal political fight. The Ukrainian advisor, the Ukrainian presidential advisor, Mikhailo Podolyak, has said that it's the spiders eating each other. But look at 26-year-old Daria Trepova as she emerges from this cafe looking completely lost. She's not a sort of determined assassin. She's not got an exit route. She didn't know what was happening. She is clearly a victim of some sort of trick. And now the Russian media is claiming that she's linked to Ukraine, that she's linked to Kyiv. Dmitry Peskov has said that she's an active supporter of Alexei Navalny. Well, of course, all this is spin. And meanwhile, there's a person in exile, a former politician from Moscow called Ilya Podomarev, and he runs an organization called the National Republican Army, the NRA. You have to be very careful with this name. And he claimed not only responsibility for the bomb in St. Petersburg, but he also claimed responsibility in the past for the bombing of the car with Daria Dugina. It could just, again, that isn't necessarily true. The fact that somebody claims responsibility doesn't mean that they did it. Maybe they just want to share in the notoriety. And to go back to these mill bloggers, they're all dodgy individuals. And Igor Strelkov, the fellow Igor Gherkin. He was involved in the shooting down of the plane, the civilian plane, which was flying over Ukraine, flying over Donetsk. What is it, MH17? He was involved, like Tatarsky, in the Donetsk Republic. In fact, he was involved in setting it up, I think. He was setting up this puppet Russian state. But unlike Tatarsky, who was drumming on about looting everybody, about triumphing, Gherkin has said we've already lost. It's simply a matter of time. So, with that in mind, I think it's very interesting that Zelensky and Kyiv have put out a sort of offer that they would be ready to discuss the future of Crimea. I think that's very interesting, because in the end, a war always ends in negotiation. Here is the first hand across the sea, the first sign that there is a possible end to this. And Russia is losing. Russia can hang on and hope to God that things turn around, but it's running out of people, it's running out of ammunition, it's running out of goodwill. And Putin is running out of people that he can move around. I mean, the other day, I think there's a fellow called Muradov, who was leading the troops in Ukraine, who was leading the troops against Ukraine and making a mess of it. And I think he was also responsible right at the beginning, making a mess. And Putin is just circular. He's moving people round and round and round, and there has to be a point where that stops. And it doesn't matter how much propaganda, how much tweeting, how much trolling his supporters do. The Rybar is fisherman, the Perlipins, the Kots News, War Gonzo, and all these individuals who are running these various channels. They can't fight the war. They can't fight the war. And so many of them, of course, are backed by Prigozhin. And if Putin plays this wrongly, Prigozhin will come out as the winner. And Prigozhin will have a serious bid to replace Putin in the presidency. And I don't think that's something that Putin wants. I don't think it's something that anybody really wants. I think we need this war to end sooner rather than later. And here is the first sign of a way out. The first sign. If I were Putin, I would take it.